Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace, my go-to for building a website and online shop. Hello everyone, let's start painting this piece. I have an 11 by 14 inch gesso board panel that I actually toned first before I used carbon paper to transfer the lines. That's why the lines are extra faint, because it's been so long since I've painted or worked on a piece that I forgot the steps. Yeah, so normally you're supposed to transfer your sketch first and then spray it with fixative and then tone the panel. But I forgot, and it was fine. The lines are super faint, but they were enough for me to generally place the facial features. There was so much finessing I had to do anyway. As you can see, I ended up kind of just refining the sketch with my paintbrush. I also have my little poster studies on the left. I just kind of tuck them behind the panel so I can have them as reference when I paint. But for this piece, I'm only using this kind of monochromatic brownish color palette to do the underpainting. I have not painted a face this big in a while. Like, even though this is an 11 by 14 inch panel, which isn't too big, most of it is the face. And usually when I paint portraits, the face doesn't take up so much of the real estate. So yeah, it just feels quite large. And it took me several attempts to place the eyes, nose, and mouth in the correct positions. Even now, I'm not quite sure if I like it. I might actually nudge the mouth to the left and lower it a bit. But at least it's within the ballpark of like a believable human. A trick to testing whether or not your facial features or actually any proportions look correct is to take a photo with your iPhone and flip the image. And when you can see your subject in kind of this mirrored image, it simulates the feeling of having fresh eyes on a piece. Sometimes when we've been staring at a piece for too long, we are not as perceptive to the minor flaws. So having fresh eyes or a different perspective on it, like a mirrored image, can help us spot those mistakes more accurately. So in my case, I just want to nudge the lips a little bit. But if I don't, it's not the end of the world. But one of the main things I wanted to get out of the way for this underpainting, other than finessing the facial proportions, was to also kind of warm up my muscles in painting chrysanthemums, which I quickly realized were like the hardest flower to paint ever. And I don't know why I signed myself up to paint so many of them now. I guess conceptually it was cool because of the symbolism of chrysanthemums and how it played into like the narrative of the overall collection of work that this piece is going to be a part of. But yeah, technically painting those millions of petals that are curled just at the tips with the foreshortening and the radial symmetry really made my brain and my eyes hurt. Adding into that, I decided to have them glowing from the center. So that was also really difficult. So yeah, needless to say, I was kind of regretting it at about this stage, but I decided to just keep on trekking forward. I feel like also whenever you paint multiples of the same object, like in my case, multiples of the same chrysanthemum flower, the first one is always the most difficult, and the more you paint, each one becomes subsequently easier. So sometimes I'll even go back and repaint the first few that I did if they're no longer up to the standard that I can accomplish after having painted a few and warmed up my muscles, so to speak. And in this case, having an underpainting to experiment and try all these things out is really helpful if you're rusty like I am, or if you just want some more practice before you commit to rendering the final thing in color. In this case, I'm only using a monochromatic palette. I'm using like raw umber, bohemian green earth, and a little bit of raw sienna to make the different shades of brown. And then, of course, just using flake white replacement to lay down the highlights and the textures. So I don't have to worry about mixing the correct colors. I just have to worry about a very subtle basic value hierarchy, and mostly just the composition and anatomy of the human face and of the flowers. This way, by the time I get to rendering the actual painting, I would have already painted each flower at least once, I guess maybe twice if you count the poster studies, and by then it won't feel so daunting. And also, this underpainting is a good space for me to test out, like, do I add a leaf or not into the hair, or like, how do I want the hair to flow? So all these little decisions I can experiment just in the underpainting world without having to commit to making big decisions in a final piece. Also, you don't have to do everything on the painting if you don't want. So one major component of this concept was to have her crying a glowing tear, and the tear stream kind of flowing down her cheek and down her jaw into the core of this chrysanthemum flower in the foreground. I decided not to use paint for that. I actually wanted to experiment with that on Procreate, where I could even more easily test out different versions and variations and Control Z. And I ended up with a state of the tear stream that I liked, and I will just use that as reference for when I paint the actual painting. So yeah, that is kind of my underpainting process. I hope you all enjoyed watching. And in next month's video, hopefully I will be sharing myself starting the main color rendering of this piece. I'm manifesting that to happen. Hopefully I'll be able to find some time with the new baby and all. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next month. Bye. And of course, you guessed it, my eternal never-ending sale is still going on in my shop. So if you'd like 20% off your order of prints and originals, just enter the code HOLIDAY at happyd-artist.com. And if you're interested in learning more about how to paint and draw, I have lots of art educational content on my Patreon page, including exclusive video tutorials, step-by-step photo tutorials, live streams, podcasts, and even surprise art gift boxes. All available at patreon.com/happydartist. I'd love to have you join my Patreon family. A big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and supporting the art community. I've been using Squarespace for 10 years now, and it's been an integral part of being able to make a living as an artist. Aside from their beautiful customizable templates and easy-to-use interface, Squarespace now has so many robust tools to help make website building be both effective and intuitive. There's a new design intelligence feature that uses a combination of industry experience and cutting-edge AI to help you make a website bespoke to your brand and digital identity. Squarespace takes the intimidation out of setting up an online shop with their intuitive e-commerce platform that accepts every type of payment method you can imagine, all with just a few simple clicks, so you can easily sell your work all around the world. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/happydartist to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Also, if you want to check out more artworks, works in progress, and just random daily artist adventures, feel free to check out my Instagram, and you can follow me at the handle @happydartist.